Hi, my name is Kennet Wahlberg. I'm working as a compliance and technical security lead at Tiqqe. And I will speak a bit about security in the cloud today. We receive this question pretty often when we're talking to customers. Is the public cloud secure? And every time I'm thinking about, how shall I answer that question? Because it's a pretty tricky one. When you look at the question as such, you can recognize that it's quite a philosophical question. And it's not very easy to give a very clear answer. And that is actually what the customer wants us to say. They want us to say, this is secure, this is not secure. But that is in general impossible to say. But there is one answer we can start to investigate. You have all those security mechanisms that you have on premise. We can list them here on the slide. And then we can map the different functionality and capabilities on the different cloud providers such as AWS, Azure, Google, Oracle, IBM, or even Alibaba. And we can continue doing that. We can see that some is provided with native services from the cloud providers, but also some is provided with third party only, as you see here. And we can do that for each and every security mechanism that you can find in your data center. And that's of course, that we can most likely conclude that, yeah, it's possible to use those security mechanisms to build some kind of security for you when you're in the cloud. But when I stand at the customer, I don't go into this technical discussion. I give them a counter question. It's more like this. Do you think that your business will benefit from, for instance, shorter time to market? Or high-speed business innovation, less upfront investment for IT equipment, or a competitive edge towards your competitors. This is in general the business benefit that all these clouds can provide you if you use them right. And when you put that question to the customers, if they at least just thinking about, yeah, that can be of interest, I say this, then we make the public cloud secure for you. We're using all those mechanisms that's inbuilt in the cloud to provide you with a secure solution that is best fit to your business. And that is the way we make the cloud secure. In order to make these discussions very productive, we as a company, when we're talking about security in the cloud, we need to change the perspective. We have this question that very often pops up. Is the public cloud secure? I think it's counterproductive to discuss that because it's a philosophical question. I want to strike it out and instead focusing, is the public cloud suitable for you and your needs? Can I use it depending on the requirements that was had? Because then you actually come into the place where you're discussing business. And that is actually where this question should be, not if the public cloud is secure or not. The most interesting question when you're putting in that is that what to secure? Of course, it's information. We normally don't think about securing computers if we don't have information on them. We normally don't think about securing databases if we don't have information in them. And the most important, the processing of that information. That is actually what we want to secure. Independent if we are in the cloud, in a hybrid cloud or on-prem. The information is the most important thing. Then we use all those security mechanisms that I showed before. Independent where we are, we can use those in order to secure the information and the processing of the information. And that is the key thing. So when discussing security in the cloud, we need to focus on what to secure. And that is the information and the process of the information. When going into the cloud, it's very important to understand that the cloud business is a shared responsibility, both on operation and security. Every cloud provider have their own responsibility model. I will use AWS, Amazon Web Services, as an example. And it looks like this. In the bottom, there is AWS responsibility. That is security of the cloud, which means that the cloud as such, all the databases, virtual machines, and etc., etc., etc. And the customer's responsibility, everything that you put in that cloud. Independent what you use, it's what you put there. If you decide spin up a EC2 instance, for instance, that's a normal computer, or if you use high-level services, that is what you secure. Everything below that level is AVS, which means that as far up in the abstraction of the use of services, the less you need to secure. That's a good thing. But you need to be able to make sure that you have control. You need to have the possibility to manage the risks that is part of your responsibility domain, which means you need to have control over the data that you put there, or the software that you use there, in the normal way, as it is on-prem. So there's something, but you don't need to dig down in what AVS is responsible for. But when you're talking about security and compliance towards that, you can use all those certificates and standards that AVS complies to in this case, or Azure, or Google, if you use them, because they have very much compliance about that. And then it's actually the customer that have a better situation in order to become compliant and controlling their own security than in many cases it is on-prem. So where are we now? We have discussed a few things. We have discussed that there are building blocks that make the public cloud secure. Those exist. That's what was not the fantasy I said. Those exist. We use them every day, which means there is no problem to use those and build in the security that you need. And we also see that the shared responsibility give the customer total control, because they need to take that control in order to use the clouds. But we haven't answered the most important question. Is it suitable for you? If it's suitable, then you should use it. Even if it's very, very secure, it might be unsuitable for you. Suitable or not. When we're talking about this, we're talking about the information and the process is that what should be secured. And when you took but how do I know if it's suitable? I will always start to thinking about this question. Are we allowed to store and process the information in the public cloud? And here I don't talk about all information now. Just that information necessary for that particular processing that you're planning to do. So you don't need to think about all your information from the first time. Think about what you plan to processing in the first step. So that is the key thing. This is a yes and no question in general. You can ask, am I allowed to do it or am I not? You can say like this, yeah, are there legal requirements that don't make it possible to use the cloud? Yeah, then it's most likely not suitable. And there might be some very harsh and restricted customer requirements that you need to take in consideration that make it unsuitable for you. So when the answer is no on this question, based on what kind of requirements you have, then the public cloud is not suitable for just that particular processing. But if it's yes, partly or fully, then the public cloud is a very competitive competitor towards the on-premise. And in many cases, I would say it will outperform the on-premise solution, which means that my recommendations to all customers that find legal or very harsh customer requirement, contractual requirement, the legal ones you can't, maybe it's hard to discuss, but you can always go back to the customer and discuss the requirement they have and see if they can change their view on them. And then more and more of your processing might be suitable for the cloud, for the public cloud. So what have we done in this discussion? Yes, we have turned the philosophical question, is the cloud secure, into a normal business decision about balancing business benefits and business risk. And there is actually where I think this question should be. We should stop discussing if the cloud as such is secure, because we have seen that there are all the mechanisms that we rely on in on-prem exist in all the big clouds. So why discuss it? We should widen the perspective and discuss it from a business perspective. So my conclusion is definitely like this. If we limit the discussion to if the cloud is secure or not on that level, we're doing very, very bad business discussions. We should widen the perspective and talk about the public cloud is suitable for your information to process it. There it should be. And finally, I want to thank you all.